So I had to be about 9 years old, and I think I was at my Granny Bobby's house. It wasn't anything strange for us to go to my granny's house. We would go to my granny's house, um, not necessarily just for the holidays, but we would just go on a weekend. And the kids would always go into the back room, and the adults would stay in the living room with the den. And I remember this particular time, um, we were there, and all of the adults were in the den, and we were back in the back rooms, just playing, being kids. And I heard this loud laughing coming from the living room, and I didn't know what they were doing. I just figured that they were watching a movie. I didn't know what to call it at the time. It was just a movie, but I hear from the TV this audience response. They're responding to what's happening, and in accordance to that, my family is talking to the screen like, "Oh, girl!" And I remember being so inquisitive as a kid that I left from where the kids were and I went into the living room. And on the screen, I didn't know it at the time, I didn't know it was a play, but on the screen was this movie. And I'm sitting there, I'm sitting on the floor and I'm watching it, and I'm watching this. I thought she was a real woman at the time. I'm watching this really tall woman in a purple polka dotted dress with a black purse, kind of gold wig. The wig was gold at the time, blondish. Say, say, I want Charles to walk up on me like he gonna hit me. I remember seeing that, and I remember hearing and seeing my family respond to things like that. And it was then at 9 that I said, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. I don't remember a time before then where I cared about storytelling or I cared about performance. That play, Diary of a Mad Black Woman, on bootleg. That's when they still had VHS bootleg tapes. That was my first introduction at 9 years old to Tyler Perry. And after seeing Diary of a Mad Black Woman, I said at 9, that's what I want to do. It didn't start my yearning to tell stories or to write, I should say. It intrigued the performer in me, the entertainer in me. Because I looked at that and I looked at the response from my family in the room, and I said, that's it. Yeah, I want to have that kind of reaction. I want to perform so well that people around me start saying that. Like, they're talking to the screen, they're having a good time, they're escaping. Nothing about their real life matters at this point. They're so invested in this moment, in this story, in this movie, that it's real to them. That's how it started for me. It started for me, and that's when I became a diehard Tyler Perry play fan. This was way before he did any movies, TV shows. These were just the plays. My first play was Diary of a Mad Black Woman. It was bootleg, and then so were the rest of them. I didn't start buying them until until much later. But I would make my cousins and my sister, we would just watch them. I don't know if I should say this, but I remember being a kid, and my mom and dad would go on date night or wherever they would go. They would not be at home, and at home we had a formal living room, and then we had a dining room. In a den, and in the den we had this big this big screen TV. That was before they were plasma. It was like this huge box. And I would put the play on. And to this day, I know everybody's lines. I know every line. I know every song. I know stage directions. I know when a character is coming on the screen. I know all of that. Not just with Diary of a Mad Black Woman, but for all of the plays. Up until Madea Goes to Jail. After that, it kind of gets a little rocky. I know some of the lines, but not all of them. But Medea Goes to Jail and Back, I know everybody's lines. I know I'm a diehard. So I remember I would do things like I would do things like take the caps off of my pens. Like if I had a black pen, a black ballpoint pen that had a black cap, I would take it off and I would put a hole in my shirt. Oh God. I would put a hole in my shirt and I would tuck the clip of it into my shirt, and that was my microphone. This is gonna get me in trouble. One night in particular, I remember my mom had she had this table in the den, and on the table were these two, I wish I knew what the exact color, but they were green. They were very light green candles, and they were gone, and I got a big white t-shirt. I got a big white t-shirt, and I got those two candles, and I put them on my chest. They were my breasts, and I put them under my white shirt, and I had a gray robe that was plaid, and I tied the string around my waist really tight so that the candles wouldn't move, because I was Medea. Like, I was real life Medea, and I fell asleep performing Diary of a Mad Black Woman. And, you know, I woke up the next day, and, you know, to this day, nobody has ever mentioned it to me. So this is the first time that it's ever came out. But I was always a little strange. I think for me, it was the response. It was the escapism. It was putting this on, and for this little period of time, I think the plays used to run 2 hours and 14 minutes. For that 2 hours and change, this story was the only thing that mattered. Tyler Perry definitely inspired me. He inspired me, one, to start acting. And then in my acting, I became a storyteller. I often say I hate actors that act. I love actors that tell story. Because anybody can act. Acting is just, you know, children act, whether they know it or not. Children act. But can you tell a story? And that's what I'm invested in now. I'm invested in telling the story, doing the story justice. So, yeah, my start came from seeing a bootleg Tyler Perry VHS. Y'all don't remember VHS tapes. It was a VHS tape, Tyler Perry, Diary of a Mad Black Woman.